the main cause or the main source of all the plastic, or most of the plastic found in the Eastern Mediterranean, is from from beach goers.
Wow. Welcome to Pick Up Here's Future of the Industry series. This is where we discuss innovation, technology, sustainability, and travel. We host industry leaders, entrepreneurs, business owners, and experts of the maritime industry from all around the world. Pick Up Here provides technological and sustainable solutions to optimize marine operations and to make the sailing experience for boaters easier and more accessible. I am your host, Shlomi Singer. Be sure to follow and subscribe to our channel for more exciting interviews and updates. Today we are hosting Arik Rosenblum, Executive Director of EcoOcean. Arik, pleasure to finally meet you.
Mutual.
Where are you located right now?
Well, actually, I'm working from home, and my home is in Hadera, not far from the beach, so I have inspiration at all times.
That's great. Were you able to get to the beach every so often?
First of all, it's within my 100 meters.
Wow, amazing.
So I've been lucky. But yes, right now the situation is that if you exercise, you can be on the beach. So I exercise.
Lucky guy. I was actually on the beach as well yesterday. It was just such a great feeling after, I think it was almost 2 months that I finally put my feet in the sand.
Yeah.
Nice. So how long have you been involved with EcoOcean for?
I'm actually celebrating my 5th year as the director of the organization. The organization exists for almost 16 years. So I'm following a long line of talented people. I hope I'm doing it good. What else would you like to know?
Well, what drew you to this organization, to the industry?
Again, we're an NGO. We're not a company. And 16 years ago, when it was established, it really did a very important, the SWOT process, where we're an organization that is not trying to duplicate what other organizations are doing, but rather has always strived to find its added value. And I think our added value has been in 3 directions. The first is the fact that when it was established, the first target for the program, for the organization, was that no one was able to do a real research about the Mediterranean and Israel. They were lacking the tools to do it, and the main tool was there was no research vessel available for the academic community. And what we did was we brought Israel's first research vessel. It's privately owned, it's run by us, and we also have a whole subsidy system. Basically, from then on till today and onward, we are the main tool for research in the Mediterranean, in our part of the Mediterranean. And, without knowledge, everything's guesswork. And if you don't know what the sea is all about, then you think you can do everything you want about the sea. And when we bring in the knowledge, it makes people more cautious and more in awe about what actually we have a part of and how we have to preserve it. So that's the first direction.
Can I ask you a little bit more about the research, or would you like to come back to that after?
Sure.
So what type of research are you currently conducting?
Again, we facilitate research projects of the universities and research centers. We only certain times do we actually initiate a research endeavor, but even when we do that, we don't do the research ourselves. We identify researchers from the universities to lead the process with us. I can give one example, a really important example. Sure. There was an argument in the country as to who's responsible for the invasion of plastic in our seas. and everyone was blaming everybody.
Yep.
They were saying it's our neighbors,
Yep.
it's passing ships, it's industry. And we did a study with the help of two researchers from Haifa University. And through the study, we were able to identify quite a few issues. The first was the main cause or the main source of all the plastic, or most of the plastic found in the Eastern Mediterranean, is from from beach goers.
Wow. So
And
beach
when that,
goers locally?
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
meaning in the center of the country, 80% of the 90% of the debris that's plastic that's in the sea is from local beach users.
well,
Nationally, it's 60%, but that caused us to create a whole new tool, which is our third department, because we had to see then how to use that onwards. So that's just one example. Um, there are other examples. We partnered with the Nature Authority, and with them we used the ship in order to map the territorial waters of Israel. And in that mapping, our job was to try to identify where are the potential places where marine protected areas should be established. And it is on that basis that now the government and an NGO, that umbrella organization that we're part of, are trying to push the community, the country, to reach from 10 to 20% of the of the territorial waters to be marine protected areas. So these are examples. Almost everything we do is science based. We study it, we identify it, and then we go out and build a plan on how to help make sure it comes into reality.
that sounds amazing and so important right now. What you just said about the amount of pollution and where it comes from, that's a total surprise. That's really
Again, different
surprises me.
countries work differently. A friend of ours in Spain did a whole research, and it turned out for them it was agriculture, that were taking plastic coverings for growth of all kinds of things, just dumping it into the sea. So different countries, it's different. For us, this specifically was us.
How do we raise awareness regarding that?
Okay, so that brings us to the third, the two other units.
Added values.
Just leading straight in.
Mhm.
And that is that the second one is, of course, education. And again, just before the corona, we were reaching about 20,000 children in schools with intense studies and work, not just one day events, but 8 to 16 sessions of 2 hours with visits to the sea, in which we were moving that forward. We were doing lectures and so on for adult populations. We were doing a lot of programs like that. And the third department is what we call community outreach.
Mhm.
And in it, we use all the tools that we have been now effective with, such as a campaign. Um, when it comes to the plastic, we have been, for the past 4 years, we have been doing a campaign along with the Ministry of Environment, in which it's our last slogan in Hebrew, and then I'll translate it to English. Chad pa'ami lo bayam sheli. It sounds better in Hebrew. In English, it means single-use plastic not in my beach. And the whole idea was to get people to understand that they have to think strategically about what they take to the beach with them, because most of what they'll take, if it's single use, won't go exactly where they hope it goes and will find its way to the sea. I'm happy to say that just before the corona crisis, we'd reached a stage where two cities in the state of Israel had already declared local laws in which if you took single use plastic, you would be fined 750 shekels.
So if you brought plastic with you, you get fined.
Yeah. And again, not multi-use plastic, single-use plastic. We're not against the multi-use plastic that you use over and over again, but the single-use plastic we are. And in that regard, we were on the way to having many more cities join us in that. Now everything is frozen, and we can talk about it because I think it's one of your questions about how what is COVID-19 a crisis or challenge. So we will talk about that as well. But these are examples of the kinds of things that we do: education, activity with the community, activity with municipalities, partnerships, lots of partnerships.
So, sounds so important right now, especially during these days where people are at home and not going to the beach, and finally people from around the world are able to see clear waters, and they're able to see clear skies, and there's just so many advantages right now about what's going on, and how can we continue to educate people to maintain this form of, I guess, environment and
By the way, it's a big challenge because what is logical for me and you is not logical for everybody. You and I, I'm sure, are saying, okay, nature sort of slapped our hands and said, okay, we let you fool around with us, but don't mess with us,
yeah.
because if you do, this is what happens. But that's not the message we're getting from many decision makers in the government. There is that issue of we've got to restart the economy. We've got to restart the economy at all costs. And we're finding a retreat and taking us back many steps from where we are today. By the way, even in single-use plastic, there is a lobby of plastic-based companies that are trying to send a message to the world that in the world of COVID-19, it's healthier and safer to use single-use plastic than it is multiple-use plastic. And we're now building, a case in order to show them that that's not the situation. That first of all, if someone thinks that single-use plastic companies, when they make the plastic, is in some sterile environment, it's not. And when it reaches the public, it's gone through many coughing and sneezing people, and it in no way can be declared as safe. And on the other hand, if you take a multi-use plastic and put it in a just wash it with soap and water, you've got a very safe tool. So, but these are issues we have to deal with. So it sounds good, but I don't think we can just relax and say, okay, nature did its works and now we just have to enjoy it. We have to work hard to get nature's message out to people. By the way, we're doing that. We are part of a forum of CEOs from environmental agencies in Israel. Mm-hmm. And just for the past few days, we've been doing video conferences with civil servants, high-level civil servants in the government, in many different, in the Treasury, the energy ministry, the environmental industry, and building industry ministry, and so on, in which we're trying to get them to talk with us about, if you go our direction, we'll back you, we'll help you. It will be a great partnership. Don't let us fall back. But it's an issue. It's not a simple done deal situation.
So I'd like to go back to what we were talking about a few seconds ago. What you said is going to be a question I'm going to ask you. So COVID-19 crisis, challenge, or opportunity?
Again, it's both. It's definitely both. But as I said, it's not going to be something, it's not as if, sadly enough, it's not as if, the government and commercial organizations are going first to the concept of okay, we have to change the whole rules. We have to create new standards. The previous normal was not the right normal, and now we have to create a new normal. That's where we'd like them to go. There's an opportunity for that to happen, and some are going that way, but the majority of them are saying, we have to give companies a open hand to do whatever they need to do in order to get back on their feet. We don't think that's the right solution, but it's there. So it's both continual crisis and possible opportunity. That's why we're working very hard ourselves and our partners in trying to make sure it's more opportunity than crisis. But to say it's clear is sadly enough not a fact.
Seems really, what I really like about what you guys are doing is that you're getting both the grassroots involvement, you're getting through like community engagement, educational, and then you're also doing a lot of partnerships with governments and with international organizations.
And national organizations. Again, I
Yeah.
think one of the most important things we've done in the past few years is create the forum of CEOs of environmental agencies. Because what it means is that we collaborate and coordinate our activities. We, for instance, don't do demonstrations. We don't do lobbying in the Knesset. We don't go to the Supreme Court. These we don't need to do that because there are excellent partner organizations that's their specialty. They've got the pile of lawyers, or they've got the pile of assertive go out there and yell at people, and it's great. And we coordinate who does what, and when it's our place to step in, and when it's someone else's. And I can say that what we call positive activism, which is our technique, has shown a lot of success, but not to say that the other tools aren't successful as well.
So there's a lot of awareness right now regarding green and blue initiatives. That's what we like to call them. And where do you see the future of these types of initiatives going right now? Do you think that we will be able to gain more traction, more support from governments? Because it feels like that might be the way to go. I mean, it might be both the top down and from down to top. Both might work right now. But where do you see companies or organizations? Where should they really invest in right now?
Again, it's an issue. Take the concept of marinas and say your initiative. Marinas have been frozen for the past month and a half, 2 months. Um, they're worried about how they can work and how they can get going, and will people be going from country to country with their yachts and their vessels in the same ease that in the past. And so they'll be considering, do I have time and money to invest in new things, when many of them may say I have to just go back to the basics and keep things very simple. So it's a real challenge that I think we're all going to have to go through. I don't have answers. You're asking a question, which is it? I don't know. I think we're at the very stage where we're just beginning to learn how companies will react. There will be companies and there will be industries that will be smart in our minds, and will say, let's move, let's create a new way of working. But there'll be lots of other companies that are going to say, you know what, I have to float here, and to float here, I just want to keep things simple. And when things get better, we'll start talking about it. By the way, government's the same. Government's the same. I mean, I know that there are going to be cuts because I'm hearing it from my partners and my friends in the government. They know they're waiting for cuts to take place in their budgets, which means that things that they did, which were important for the environmental issues, even our campaign, for example, that I mentioned. We're going to continue when we can to continue the campaign with our level of investment, but with the help of the municipality the ministry, we're able to do a lot more. They're not sure they're going to get the budget for it. We don't even know when the beaches will actually open. Officially, they're supposed to open in June, but that too will probably be changed, and also the regulations about it may turn it into something very hard to maintain. So it's a big challenge.
Seems that way. What drove you to join EcoOcean and get involved in the industry?
Again, I've been in the world of NGOs for many years, many different positions. What drove me to, or led me to the organization was the chance to make a difference. Sometimes I was a part of a large organization, and my part in that large organization was important, but you don't always feel you're doing as much as you can. To be able to lead a lean and mean, although we're not mean, but a lean and organized agency is fun. Is a lot of a great team. Look, we just went through, the virus, and again, we don't think it's going to be over right now. But I've been able to bring a lot of my staff back. The ship's back doing its research. It's already for a week and a half. It's been starting to do research again. So we're, looking in a positive way to the future. And we will find the way to get our message across, even in these trying times. And we definitely think, for instance, and it's always been our thought, your kind of concept and tool that you have developed was, in our minds, exactly the kind of things that we like to get involved with, because it's that positive activism. It's saying, wait, before you harm the environment by creating another 20 marinas throughout the country, make sure that you're using effectively the marinas that you have, and we don't like to just complain. We like to be able to show the organizations, the companies, and so on, there are tools and things to be done that can solve problems, and may even be cheaper than the other solutions.
So true. So true. So for someone who's looking to get involved in a nonprofit or start his own initiative, what do you recommend the first steps that they start? Do you think they should join an organization, or what do you think they should do?
Look, I think the COVID-19 process also taught us one thing, and that is, before you start thinking of creating your own organization, check out what exists, and perhaps instead of inventing the wheel, join an organization that exists doing what you think it should be doing. Because right now there is a heavy possibility that there will be lots of mergers and closing of NGOs that weren't able to go through this process. And instead of, and we've heard it from many donors as well, that those donors, specific donors that, for instance, started an organization, they said, we started, and it meant that we have to keep supporting it, and that's a problem, because we want them to learn how to support themselves as well. By the way, we're happy to say that we have a nice mixture of 50% of our income is from services that we provide, the ship, the education department, and so on. So that makes us someone that we were able to, hold on in a more effective way. But I'm just saying,
self-sufficient.
I would say, for someone that cares, I don't think there's a problem of not enough organizations. I think the big problem is we have to get the majority of people in democratic countries to be able to understand that the sea is important to each and every one of us. And the minute that majority exists, the government will have no choice but to listen to them, because that's the way the democracy works. If the majority cared about the beach as much as they should, then every government who wants to get reelected will have to change its way of talking and thinking um, accordingly. And that's why we invest so much in the community activity and the community engagement. We're trying to create that that amount of that to reach a crucial point where we have enough people that get the attention of government to say, okay, we can't fool around with the sea just like we want to. We have to listen to the public because they vote us in, and for some reason they think it's really important.
Wow. Arik, this has been great. Thank you so much for your time. Keep up the great work. You guys are doing very, very meaningful projects and amazing. Keep it up.
Okay.
Take care. Thank you very much.